so we're recording. So I'm just going to run through the questions, but again, I'll give you the raw video at the end, and you can do whatever you want. And then the other ones will be edited probably, I think we're still about a month out before they're released. So about a month, you'll see it on social media. But anyway, so I guess let's start with what is your name? Where are you located? And yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So my name's Megan. I am located in St. Louis, Missouri, basically like almost smack dab in the middle of the Midwest. I went to school for accounting and I work for a public accounting firm right now. However, the misnomer about me is that I'm not an expert on taxes at all. So like in real estate, people are always like, oh, like, you know, all about taxes and tax strategy, but I'm on the audit side. So we're essentially auditing financial statements at year end. So I do probably know more about tax than the average person, but by no means like an individual tax expert. So.
Okay. So how long have you been doing that?
Accounting.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be 6 years in August.
Okay.
It's kind of scary.
All right. No, it's not scary. I mean, so I guess, when did you start investing in real estate and how did that kind of piece jump in there?
Yeah, so I really do like my job, as nerdy as that sounds. Like I do enjoy accounting, but I kind of wanted, the reason I got into real estate was because I wanted more of, I don't know, another source of income. I wanted to diversify my investment portfolio. I lived at home right out of college for a couple of years, so I was able to save a bunch of money and I put some in some mutual funds, but then I slowly started getting like seeing stuff online or whatnot about real estate. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. And I love to travel. So I wanted, you know, another source of income to kind of supplement that without feeling guilty, like I wasn't saving for all the other things I need to save for in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, congrats to you for jumping in on, I think I looked at your Instagram and if you're on your first store right now, is that right? Okay, cool.
Yes.
So that's such an exciting place to be. And it's interesting because like, you know, sometimes people will like research for 10 years plus and then like finally get into it. So I'm glad that you've like made the jump. Like, it sounds like you researched for a little bit and then you're like, you know what, let me just try this. And what I love about your Instagram actually is that you're a DIY person. Like you're actually out there doing it, and your videos are great.
Thank you. I think it's not because I necessarily enjoy doing it, but it's more because I'm like, I'm not gonna pay someone to do this. Like I'm gonna do it myself. When I think about like, you know, labor is one of the most expensive things of a rehab. So by no means am I like, I will always call an electrician or a plumber. And I have one of my friend's husbands, who's a general contractor, help me and set me up for success. So I definitely have, you know, paid for that, but trying to learn as much as I can on my own.
Yeah, that's perfect. And you know, I know this is one of the questions later, but being a woman in real estate, sometimes you really need to know what you're talking about because people try to take advantage, at least in my experience, all the time. So I did the same thing when I started. I did all the work myself. And so now when people try to like pull me for a ride or whatever, I'm like, no. Like, I know what that is and it's not that expensive and you're out of your mind.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, to that point, it's like, I remember looking at that question and like thinking about then obviously like you think of general construction as more like a man's work, if that makes sense. But I guess after having my Instagram account for a little bit and seeing women do that, it was almost more like I can do it too. And I feel like I haven't really had any like setbacks or anything like that was more difficult because I was a woman. It's almost like I have more resources as a woman. If that is women in real estate. And then through that, we got, one of the girls, Maya, started a real estate investment book club. So like, I feel like I almost have more resources because I'm a woman and I see other women doing all these like home projects too, that it's like, it helps. But yeah, still definitely learning.
Yeah, that's cool. So I am gonna pause it just for a second because your internet is like going in and out like crazy.
Oh,
am I coming in clear to you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's just like a little bit of delay. Do you want to actually like end this and jump back in? Maybe that'll solve it. I'm not really sure how to troubleshoot this, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you have suggestions, I'm open to it.
Okay.
All right, hit record. And do you remember which question we were on? I think we were still like getting to know each other type.
I mean, if you wanted to start over, we could just start over.
Yeah. So, so let's start with what's your name? What area are you located in? Yeah.
My name's Megan. I'm located in St. Louis, Missouri. So right in the middle of the Midwest. I am a CPA. I've worked in accounting for about 6 years now for a public accounting firm. And I just really wanted to get into real estate for, an extra stream of income. I really love to travel, so I wanted to have some like side money to help with those expenses while still, saving for the, other aspects of my life, if I have kids and blah, 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 all that stuff, the millions of bills that happen in life. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess, let's get into real estate. So how many places have you worked on and kind of like what has been your journey thus far?
Yeah. So I guess technically in real estate, I started really thinking about it as like a source of income about a year ago. Mm-hmm. But I currently the condo I'm currently in right now that I live in, I bought in 2017. Mm-hmm. And with the intention of like, hey, I want to eventually rent this out. It's in a very popular like area of St. Louis. I wouldn't have any trouble renting it out or anything like that. So that was the intention at first, like initially, but I don't even know like why I really started researching. I think a lot of it had to do with just like finally getting my savings back up, and then COVID hit and I was like, I need to read some books. And that's when I really started, like maybe March of 2020, started like really researching, listening to podcasts, doing all of those things to learn about real estate more as like a source of income.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that COVID would, essentially lend itself to like being at home more and more people like reading the books. That's really interesting. I haven't heard that yet, so that's cool. Yeah. Wow. Well, way to make good use of your time. Yeah.
I can't sit still ever, so COVID has been really hard on me mentally. And so I'm like, I need to have projects, or I need to have something to where I'm doing something, because obviously like there hasn't been as much to like go out and do during the past year or so.
Right. That's funny. I also combine like workouts with watching videos. So like when I'll be like lifting weights and then like watching my favorite like real estate gurus on the screen. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny too with that is I was working from home full time because I'm normally always at the client. And so switching to working from home full time, I was like, I'm going to go crazy in like this apartment. Like I need to get out, and I have a dog. And so we started taking walks every lunch, and I would listen to the Real Estate Rookie podcast while I was walking her. And so starting to listen to that, then I started getting more and more interested in like, hey, I can do this. Like I can start now. So that's like probably the catalyst that drove me to start really looking.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, so let's back up a little bit. So let's run through your first deal. Sure. Number wise, kind of what you're looking at now. It sounds like your first deal was in 2017, so maybe you're on 2 deals now, or?
Well, I'm still living in my condo now.
Gotcha,
so
but that's your primary.
It's not really a deal per se, but like I can rent it out and I have the intention of renting it out, but I have the numbers for the property I just closed on March 2021.
Okay.
So I'm shockingly, as an accountant, a numbers person. So I have it all here. So I love, like in the real estate game when, or, you know, being on Instagram and whatnot, when people say like real numbers, like don't tell me like, oh, well, I got a good deal, it was cash flowing. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, what did you like put into your calculation? So I guess for anyone who's listening in, I feel like this might be helpful. So the property that I just bought, it's a 2-bed, 1-bath, single family home. It's probably like 10 minutes from where I currently live, which is nice. It's in Dogtown, which is a pretty, you know, not, I wouldn't say trendy area, but a lot of young people live there. There are a lot of bars to like, you can walk to, that sort of thing. And it's close to the highway. So that's something that was important to me. It's less than 800 square feet. So it's really small, but I wanted that because it's my first deal. I'm not trying to rehab a whole place. So anyhow, I bought that. Keep in mind, we're in the Midwest. Cost of living is very low. So I bought, it was $125,000. And then I put 20% down to avoid PMI.
PMI. PMI stands for Private Mortgage Insurance. It's an added insurance policy that protects your lender if you put less than 20% down. It protects them if you are unable to make your mortgage payment. PMI typically adds an extra $30 to $70 for every $100,000 borrowed to your monthly mortgage payment. But once you reach 20% equity in your home, you no longer need to pay it. So how does paying PMI now benefit you? It's simple. It allows you to buy a home at today's low mortgage rates and begin building equity instead of waiting to save for a 20% down payment. While initially PMI is an added cost, it opens the door to homeownership sooner. See? No need to be scared. Just work with your lender to determine the best down payment option for you.
So that was $25,000. My mom ended up loaning me that money interest-free. So I was really lucky in that regard to have that. And I thank her very much, but I do have every intention of paying her back within the year. So like any bonuses I get from work, like tax refund, I don't even look at it in my account. I just like transfer it to hers because I don't want her hanging out there for a while. So then I thought this was helpful, but like just the overall numbers. So the rent, like the most conservative rent I thought I could get is $1,100 for that house. So that's pretty conservative. For CapEx expenditures, I normally just say 200 just as kind of a, when I'm doing like a rough run the numbers for properties to see if they work. And then I do another $50 per month for repairs, just, you know, saving for potential repairs that come up. And then I add on another $50 for vacancy. I can't find a tenant. And then with my taxes, insurance, and interest rate for on a 30-year mortgage, I ended up getting a monthly payment, mortgage payment of $600. So if you add $1,100 minus all of those, cash flow of $200.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so that's the most conservative. So I'm hoping to end up renting it out for like $1,300 or $1,400, but just doing my rough, you know, seeing if I want to put an offer in, that's kind of what I was going for. And something to keep in mind for investors too is when you're buying a property as an investment property, the interest rate is always higher than if it were your primary residence.
Right. Yeah, what is your interest rate for this one? I'm just curious.
This is 3.625.
Okay, that's not bad.
Which is still pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, cool. So a few questions. So one thing that struck out to me is that you almost have the 1% rule on your rent, which is good. And so for anyone that is curious about what that is, so whenever you're looking to buy a property, an easy measure is to say, okay, well, if the monthly rent is 1,100, 1%, if that were a purchase price, you would only want to do 110,000 on that offer price. So you're very close to that. I think you said 125, so super close. It's more like, 0.88, but that's awesome, especially in this market right now, which is kind of absurdly
This
hot.
market is, I mean, I searched for a while. I saw a lot of places, and the 1% rule, I guess, like basically for me went out the window, because I was like, there is absolutely no way when all these homes are going 20 over asking, I can get 1%. But I ended up getting this one under asking, and it was actually another real estate investment firm that was selling it, and they have a lot of properties. And so their previous offer that had been on it, the financing fell through. And so they had just come back on the market and they wanted to sell it. So I just came in at the right time.
Mhm.
So it was listed for 129.9 and I got it for 125. So I was like, this is awesome in this market. And like, obviously did the inspection, did all the everything to make sure it wasn't a trap or something, but everything came back good.
Well, so how did you make your offer competitive?
Honestly, so there weren't any other offers at the time because it had just come back on the market. And I basically said I would take care of any type of closing costs. And then if there was anything that came out of inspections that I would either, obviously if it was some like foundation issue, I wouldn't have taken the house. But like if it's little things here or there, I said that like they didn't need to pay for them. Where, in a buyer's market, it might be the opposite, where it's like, hey, you need to fix this siding, or I don't know, pick anything.
Yeah, which is very common to retrade or renegotiate after you've gotten your inspections.
Right.
So it sounds like you either waived your contingency or inspection contingency right away, or said like, we have 10 days, I'm not going to mess with you, let's just do this. Did you have an agent you were working with?
I did, yes.
Okay.
I didn't even being a newbie, like I didn't know what off-market deals were really, or I thought those were few and far between, but it turns out that like, I feel like a lot of people find deals that way now. But I was an agent, it was like through any type of normal house hunting process. So, and I love my agent. And he's a former general contractor. So when we would go through homes, obviously he couldn't say like as an expert, this has foundation issues, but he could be like, this is why this isn't selling, or this is, so it was really nice to have him just off the start, like, know if this was a good or a bad buy. And he was very honest, and he'd be like, no, this one I wouldn't do. So.
And how did you find your agent?
Through Zillow.
Okay.
He was just on there, and then I
like
just kept
great reviews, or
it was literally just like, call this person, or like, are you interested in this property? And he called me. Like it was just like he wanted to get out of the general contracting universe and become a realtor. And so he was more so just starting. And I mean, he'd been a realtor for a couple of years, but that's how he got his business, was through Zillow. So we just clicked, and that's how I found him.
Okay.
Kind of just luck of the draw.
Yeah, that works. I mean, so in your story, what I'm hearing so far is that like you just really jumped in right away, which is what I love, because I feel like a lot of people, get analysis paralysis, and that's just not how this business works. Like you've got to just get in there and like start. You might mess up a million times. Lord knows I did. But like, you don't really learn until you start like getting in there.
I would say it's think of it as on the job experience. Like you need to have a property. When people say analysis paralysis, like my personality cannot handle that. Like I have to like buy, and I need to work on my patience because I feel like I sometimes but I, you know, I've also heard like on your first deal, obviously like the cash flow matters and the money matters, but a lot of it is just getting in there. And then once you get that kind of foundation of learning and experience, then that's when things start rolling, and you know what you need to look for, how to look for to really get that cash flow and make a lot of money. So
yeah. And so anyway, congrats. $200, conservatively speaking, for one door is really good. So that's good.
what can I have now, I guess.
Yeah. So congrats. All right. So and you said you bought that in March of 2021 of this year.
Yep.
So we're only 2 months out from then. So, or a little less. When are you going to be finished with the renovation? How's all that stuff going?
That's a good question. So part of jumping into it was kind of like, didn't really know what I wanted to do to it. I wanted something where I was okay, like updating something, but I didn't want it to be a full-on reno, like kitchen reno and bathroom and all that stuff. But I finished the new backsplash in my kitchen, and I need to get appliances like refrigerator and washer and dryer. But then right now I'm nearing the end of my bathroom reno. So I kept the tub in the flooring, but I'm going to replace like the toilet. My dad installed a new vanity, and then I'm tiling the shower right now. So I think I'll probably add up to maybe $2,000 to 2.5 grand. So not a crazy amount, but I think it definitely, I mean, if you're going to renovate something, do the kitchen or the bathrooms. Like that's where, you'll see the most bang for your buck. And then a lot of just like landscaping, kind of like cleaning things up. I think they kind of neglected the curb appeal of this property a little bit, but I'm hoping to get it out on either like Zillow or, start advertising by the end of May. So pretty soon.
Yeah, very soon. So let's see. So did you have to do flooring? It sounds like you didn't.
No, I mean, it's definitely not the like greatest flooring, but I feel like what I've really had to tell myself, and I think this is where I might, as like a live-in like house hack, would struggle with this, is, you want to live in like a nice place and like redo the whole kitchen and everything, but you have to think about, it needs to be rental grade. Like it needs to be nice and durable, but it doesn't need to have all the glitz and the glamour that you may want to live in, or, top quality cabinetry or something like that. So I kept the flooring.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I got you. So yeah, when I buy rental properties, I definitely look for, properties that already have great like hardwood floors from like the 40s and 50s, because like that stuff lasts forever. Like, it is so good and durable. But yeah, I got you. Okay. So let's see, let me get back to these questions. All right. So yeah, I guess we didn't talk too much about your renovation numbers though. How much have you spent on the renovation thus far? Or probably how much is it going to be total, I guess?
Yeah, so backsplash was like just under 400. A lot of the, like, I didn't have a lot of the tools and the things you needed, so I probably had a lot more expenditures, but then like the second time around I'll have all that stuff. And then the bathroom's probably going to be close to maybe $2,000 or just under $2,000. I paid I'm trying to think of the number. I forget the exact like labor number for my friend to help me with the shower and everything. But a lot of the work, like my dad installed the vanity and helped with like, was able to do the plumbing like in the vanity, and he can replace the toilet and stuff. So and then I, doing the tile myself and stuff has helped save a lot of money.
So it actually sounds like your renovation is only going to be 5,000 or less. That's what I'm hearing. Is that correct?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, cool. Just trying to get a rough idea for people. So she purchased it for 125,000, and then let's say $5,000 maximum renovation for 800 square feet, which is still pretty banging. And then you'll be able to rent it out for, conservatively speaking, 1,100 a month. That sounds awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Let's see. What's your least favorite thing about real estate investing?
So just patience, like having patience and being patient. So a couple examples of like, hey, finding a great deal, especially in this market, you want to bang your head against a wall with the prices and, people outbidding people and all of those things. So definitely patience. I would also say too, like, don't let just like being so excited about a deal, like keep you from overlooking things that maybe make it not a good investment because you're just like wanting to like close on a property so bad. Like make sure you take all the necessary steps like inspections, etc. And listen to your parents if you should buy it, because my parents are very honest with me. I would also say just patience with the upfront costs. Like between closing costs, my down payment, my renovation costs, like thousands and thousands of dollars, and I have yet to see any income from it. Mm-hmm. So just really being patient and knowing that all of it will pay off, and take it one day at a time, and don't think because you're renovating like, oh my gosh, you're wasting all this time, all this money, because you'll ultimately see higher returns from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Like for the longest time when I had just started out, like I was spending all this money all the time, and it gets scary. It definitely gets scary because you have money, it's just tied up in property, so like you can't access it. You
don't see it in your bank account.
Yeah, so it can be frightening at times, unless you get a home equity line of credit, which you can do later, of course, but in the beginning stages, that's a good point to stay patient. It will pay off, and it does pay off. I remember the first property I sold was like 4 years later, and I was like, oh, this is why people do it. Okay.
Exactly. And I'm still in that phase of not making money yet. And it's like the amount of Home Depot receipts I have.
Yep.
It's unreal.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, but at least you're tracking it. That'll be helpful. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So let's see. So you might not have found too much of this question yet, but like, what's the weirdest thing you found in an investment property? Maybe when you were searching for some, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I guess this isn't that weird, but there was this home I saw, and like the pictures on Zillow, they had interior brick that was exposed, and it was so pretty. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it has so much character, whatever. I walk in and it's freaking wallpaper brick. And I was just like so annoyed. I just left. I was like, I'm not even gonna like,
yeah,
like, I don't know. It was so deceiving to me. And I was just like, I don't know. It's not necessarily weird, but also I've never seen brick looking wallpaper before. So
yeah, no, they definitely, I know there's all that stuff on Amazon too, and it's like a peel and stick backsplashes. There's like a lot of stuff that you can't see from the pictures necessarily.
Right.
So yeah. Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. I don't typically see too much of that because I guess the properties I buy are like older, and so like the older homes, they were a little bit like more craftsman style, and and so like they're just a little different. But yeah, I can see how that would be really deceiving and annoying. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What was the first real estate acronym that you came across and you were like, say what?
Well, like all of them. But the first thing that came to mind was just house hack, like what that meant. And so what that means is essentially, say you buy like a multi-family property and you end up living in one of the apartments or one of the sections of the property, and basically like you can pay for the whole entire mortgage yourself. So it's a little bit less risky for first time real estate investors. However, anytime there's a tenant there that's even just, I don't know what the phrase is, like anything extra, I guess you could say, for house hacking. So I definitely looked into that. More so in the St. Louis market, from what I was looking at, there wasn't as many like multifamily that in an area that I would be wanting to live in.
Mm-hmm.
I found one that I almost put an offer in, but my mom ended up winning out because she was providing the down payment, and she's like, nope, I want you to live where you are, and this will be an investment property. So
right,
she was on that one.
Yeah, I started out house hacking as well. So I bought a duplex, lived on one side, and then rented out the other side. And the other person basically paid the mortgage, which is great, super fun if you are good at like doing the landlord stuff and also living right next to them. It's not for everybody. It's really not for everybody. So yeah, you have to come up with certain things too, because then I had to realize like, okay, well now because I live here, they like the communication lines are a little too open, to be honest.
Right.
So like I had to start realizing like, okay, I need to find a separation. So then I just started like, oh, like my partner like doesn't, we can't do that or whatever. Because it was just like so outlandish. Like, for example, like not that this was an example, but like I want a bidet, and I'm like, that's crazy. I'm your landlord. I'm not getting you this crazy like what. Like, so yeah.
Well, you see what you get.
So
I also think to your point too, like I keep hearing from all the different podcasts and like everything is treat this like a business. And I think sometimes house hacking can kind of be where it almost makes it, yes, it's a business, but it kind of goes into your personal life a little bit. And so it can kind of gray the lines there, to your point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think sometimes people don't talk about it in that way, but I don't know. I was kind of like, I'll just live separately and treat it more like that. But house hacking, though, I'm not saying in any way that that's bad. Like I definitely would be interested in it at some point if the opportunity presents itself.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Let's see. Tell us about a setback or difficult time in your investment journey.
Yeah, so this is kind of a very unique thing. So my mom gave me, and I'm paying her back, but interest-free down payment for my property. So I could pay the 20%, still have enough reserves, and then not have PMI, but putting 20% down. But what's weird is she transferred the money into my bank account, and it was in my bank account like, I don't know, a couple of days before I started supplying my loan officer all the information to get my loan. And so for real estate investment properties, we found out later is you can't have a gift as your down payment, which I didn't know and my loan officer didn't know. So it kind of came down to the last minute of like me having, and luckily I have a very good relationship with my mom in this way, but like I had to basically put my name in her account so that it was like my account in order to be able to close. So I was freaking out because I was like, oh my gosh, am I not going to be able to, is financing going to fall through? Like I have all the money, but just a very unique scenario. And I remember it was like a Friday afternoon and I called my loan officer and I was like, how, like I kind of was very direct with him. And I was like, you should have told me about this sooner. It should not be like I'm running around like trying to get this all figured out. We knew about this like 3 weeks ago, or we could have known about it, but ultimately everything worked out. I got the property.
Yeah, so congrats to you for finding a creative solution. I have run up against that as well, especially in the beginning. And I did the same thing, added my name to the bank account. Another trick that people do is they will have that money sitting in their account for 2 months because you have to provide 2 months of bank statements before they go make that offer. But if it's your first time, like you don't know that stuff. Yeah. Like,
Right.
yeah, I've definitely come up against that before. And that's a very good creative solution. Another one that people will do sometimes is they'll say it's their second residence. And you can get around some stuff that way too.
Oh.
But yeah, it's not, it's so nuanced. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was getting frustrated, and I understand why they're doing that, but I'm like, I have the money in my bank account. Like, I have it in my bank account. Does it matter? Like, I'm able to give you a cashier's check with that amount,
Right.
But I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's especially when you're going through conventional financing, it's like a computer program, do you check this box? That's,
Right.
And if you don't, then you got to figure it out quickly.
Yes.
All right. Well, congrats on getting through that. Let's see. What's your favorite part of real estate investing?
Well, I haven't experienced it yet, but the money will be nice.
That's funny.
I would say, honestly, like just meeting people who have the same goals that I do, and they're very driven, and they like make me want to be better.
Knows how to open the door. So, little Zoe is in here now.
That's
well, hi. That's my partner, Jules.
Hi.
I know how to open the door too. Sorry, recording. Sorry.
It's not as impressive as the dog.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
He goes, I know how to open the door too. And I was like, that's not as impressive as the dog.
Yeah, so he just comes barging in whenever. So it's always fun. Okay, so anyway, let's see.
The favorite part about real estate investing, I would just say meeting people who are interested in the same things I am. They're all driven, and it inspires me to be more driven. I also think just what I've learned about myself since I know that sounds corny, but like since I've bought this property, is like I never in a million years would thought I'd ever tile a shower or have the ability to do that. And then my mom was like, I didn't even think you knew how to use a screwdriver, like let alone doing this. And so feeling, I guess, empowered that I can do those kinds of things that I didn't think I was able to do. So
yeah, absolutely. It's also like exhilarating to be able to see like the images in your mind, like, come to fruition. It's like, oh, like that looks awesome. That looks way better. And like, I actually physically like made that happen. Yeah.
And I guess from an accounting background, I'm very much like numbers, Excel files, etc. And for me, it's almost like a creative outlet where I can design or do like more hands-on things versus like through a computer. So I like that aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's cool. Also, I've got my cousin helping me on some projects in Arkansas where I invest. And she was like posting on Instagram. She's like, all tired. She's got like paint in her hair and stuff. And she's like, I used to want a man that could do all this stuff. And she's like, and now I am that man.
The amount of times, like when I first used like a wet saw to cut my tile, the water just like straight up like sprayed right in my face. And I had more like the like mortar and then all the like, I don't even know, dust or whatever. And like my hair was crunchy. And my mom brought me lunch and I didn't realize I had all of that on my face too. And she's like, what the heck? Like what went on? So I understand.
Yeah, it's dirty work, but it's really fun to be able to see like the end product, at least for me.
Yeah. Reveals.
All right, let's see. So please share any challenges you've had with being a woman in real estate. I think we kind of hit on this, but if you want to just like wrap it up, in like a quick.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't particularly had a situation that I've been like, oh, it's because I'm a woman and or like felt that as a challenge. Similar to what I said before, like just having a community of women like through Instagram, and then like meeting people that way, it's almost like an extra resource because I am a woman, because of other women, and then like seeing them do stuff. I'm like, oh, I can do that. So I've really not had any bad experiences. I've only had good, which is good.
Yeah.
So, but I've only been in it a year, so.
Yeah. Yeah, just wait.
I'll bring my dad along for that.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, let's see. So what would you say to an aspiring real estate investor just like starting out?
I'd say don't compare yourself or like where you are in your real estate journey. I know getting on, like seeing books or being on Instagram and following people who are in real estate and everything, you're like, holy cow. And they have, 50 plus properties and they're doing all this stuff. Just take it day by day. And that's kind of why I started my Instagram account. And it's just to be like, hey, these are little things that I had questions about that I was at some point afraid to ask. And so for people who are starting out, like there are resources out there and there are people like you that are, have 1 or 2 properties and are learning. So, just know like Rome wasn't built in a day. Take it day by day, research, but get in there and start small, and then you'll get going.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice. Yeah. And then let's see, would you recommend any books or resources? If so, please share.
Absolutely. So I actually have some. So I think I mentioned this earlier, but the Real Estate Rookie podcast, it's through Bigger Pockets. That's what I started listening to. And Bigger Pockets does have their own like real estate podcast as well, but this is tailored to like the rookies. So I really like that. And then Bigger Pockets book, it's the book on rental property investing. This is what I used for like I remember Felipe would always in the Real Estate Rookie podcast be like, well, if the numbers work. And I'm like, well, what are the numbers? Like, what do you need to know? And so this like outlined all of that. And then my other one, this is a Rich Dad Advisor book, and it's Tax-Free Wealth, but it goes through all of the just like tax benefits you can get from real estate. That, I mean, again, I'm a CPA, but I'm on the audit side, so I don't have an expert knowledge in tax. So I enjoy reading this because it gives you little tips and tricks, like catalog. Like one thing I was like, oh my gosh, every time I drive to my real estate investment property to work on stuff, like you can like track your mileage and then deduct that from your income when you're doing your taxes. So I'm catalog all of that. Very organized that way, which I had no idea until I read this, that was something, but it adds up.
Yeah, no, the tax advantages are just absolutely astounding, especially because depreciation goes against your W-2 income, which if say you make $50,000 a year and you can write off depreciation, you probably only need like 5 houses before it looks like you make 0 income, and like that's crazy.
I don't know, they give you too, like if you meet with a friend and you guys are there just to talk about real estate, you can deduct that business, like that meal expense. Of course, do it within reason. Don't do it like maybe not every week or something like that per se, but when I went to dinner with my friend to talk about her husband helping me with my bathroom, we talked about real estate pretty much the entire time. So I'm gonna, I kept the receipt for that and cataloged it, and I'll deduct that.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one is like writing off vacations. So they do it like the sandwiching. So they'll do like Friday, full day of like a real estate conference or looking at properties. And then, use the weekend to have like a vacation. But then on Monday, same thing, real estate. And so now it's a real estate like write-off. But you still got to have a little bit of fun.
Exactly what you were saying when I was reading that, I was like, that doesn't sound like legal, or is that right with that particular scenario? Because they go through that, and I was like, oh, it is.
I love that your audit mindset is like,
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, I'll go on a vacation, work a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. So any shout outs, and then of course, please say your handle on social media. Where can we find you?
Yep. So shout out, biggest shout out is to my family. So my mom, my dad, and my stepmom. I don't think I've ever had like a bigger support system or like better support system than my family. Like anything I do, they're so supportive and just the best. With my mom financially, but also like I'm talking about more of emotional support and backing me up. Also, Kristen and Grace Stamulus, Kristen is my friend from college and her husband is a general contractor who's helped me, but he has gone like above and beyond like helpfulness in this, like with my bathroom. So he's taught me so many things, and it's been so nice to, ask him questions here and there like that. So very grateful for them. And then also just to all the people I've met, like through my Instagram account, and like the women in real estate, the men in real estate, and say the community on Instagram is so supportive, and like the amount of like tips and tricks I've learned, and that people are so willing to offer up advice, and I've just loved it. And it's made me look at social media differently and in a more like, I'm using it to learn, not necessarily like how most people might view it as like comparing yourself to others or people like trying to show the best part of their life. I love it because people are like, well, today I finally finished, tiling my shower after 4 weeks, and all that. People are just real and helpful, and they want others to succeed. So I've really enjoyed that part. So
yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, and
absolutely.
yeah, thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah. Yeah, my Instagram is at REI_with Megan.
All right, perfect. So I'm gonna stop recording.